STEM City host Dr. Owais Durrani is here with me this morning to talk about a new episode of STEM City. Good morning. Welcome back.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
I always look forward to these segments. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about health professionals with the Houston Dynamo. So I think soccer fever's caught us all, right?
Yeah,
the Dynamo
absolutely,
season started.
for
They won
sure.
on Tuesday, which is good. The World Cup's coming to Houston. So it caught me, and I was like, you know, what are some connections we can make here? And so they have a sports science department that kind of keeps the athletes healthy, kind of brings them back from injury, use a lot of cool tech to make sure that the coaches can get the best and most accurate data. And so I talked with Alex and Paul, who are two of their professionals there, and asked them a whole bunch of questions.
Cool.
And it was a fun time there.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's take a look.
Let's do it. With the Houston Dynamo season about to start and the World Cup about to be played here in Houston in a little less than 2 years, it got us asking, what are the STEM professionals that power the world's most popular sport? So we came over here to the Dynamo Dash Performance Center to ask those questions and chat with some STEM professionals. Well, Paul, thanks so much for joining us on STEM City. You are the head of performance here at the Dynamo. So tell me about what that means and what your responsibilities are in that role.
Essentially, it's about physical performance. So my job is to oversee everyone that's involved in the physical performance aspect of the job. Most importantly, the communication and the collaboration I have with the coaching staff. Typically, I'll design a microcycle for each week, and on each day we have specific details about total distance, high-speed running, sprinting, acceleration, decelerations, and we'll have a projected load, and then we'll take a look and see what the actual load was, and then we can plan accordingly for the rest of the week and subsequent weeks. Within that, then there'll be recommendations of what types of drills the coaches have used before. We use information from a drill menu to help us with that, and then it helps us to really dial in the prescription as specifically as we can to make sure the players are in the best shape possible and the most robust to withstand the loads that are going to be asked of them when they play the matches.
You studied physical education. Tell me about that. Where did you study that? How long did that take? And what really drew you to that part of, you know, the science world?
As a player, you're always interested in the physical world and being physically active. I was fortunate enough to get a soccer scholarship to Delphi University, which is a small school on Long Island in New York. And then because of my role in sports, physical education there wasn't really specific degrees that you could study when I was in school that would then, the pathway would be to end up with a pro football team or a pro sport team. But physical education was probably the next best role. So that's why I ended up studying physical education. That ended up, I got a job then as a health and phys ed instructor at a small community college, but I was also still head coach of their soccer team. I ended up being a tenured assistant professor there after 3 years, but there was always the love for football, the DNA, the passion to be involved in the game. And when I had the opportunity then to have a full-time role, actually the first one ended up being the U17 national team, where they had a residency in Bradenton, Florida. The best players in the country for that age came, we trained, we lived together, we traveled together, and we played and tried to qualify and play in World Cups, which we ultimately ended up doing and being successful in. So that was kind of the transition from me being a professor then to more of a full-time performance fitness coach.
Yeah, that's really cool, because I think a lot of, say you're in high school and you're thinking of studying physical education or some other subject, you think that you're kind of maybe stuck into one kind of perceived role that society gives you. Mm-hmm. But you obviously did teaching, and then you transitioned into like a full-time role with teams and whatnot. Would you say that is doable and something you've seen other colleagues do? And obviously in your own life, was that something very difficult to do, or no, it's something as long as you want to do it, you can?
Ultimately, in my world, it's all about education.
Yeah.
So if you as a player where if we want to take you in the gym and prescribe certain exercises, we have to be able to educate you as to why they're important for you to become the best player you can become, because your buy-in and understanding the benefit to you is going to be massively important. So for me, the ingredient that was always there was education.
Yeah.
And that's from my life. It's been in all walks of my life. And even when I was younger, I wasn't necessarily the best student, but I always knew how important education was. And I think then if you talk about other walks of life, if you continue to try and become better and educate yourself and give yourself some opportunities, then you might not necessarily become a pro athlete, but there's plenty of other areas like myself and the other members of staff that I've mentioned.
Yeah.
They're all involved in pro sports.
Yeah.
Now, could they do their jobs in another arena? Yes, for sure. But part of their passion and their desire currently, for sure, is to be involved in pro sports.
Another thing, say 20 years ago, how would you say technology today, whatever technology it may be, has improved, say a player gets injured, coming back to playing? What have been, a tool or two that you have seen in your day-to-day that has really kind of changed things compared to, say, 20 years ago?
I think maybe one of the bigger ones is the GPS.
Okay.
Because if we talk about, like even today, we had some targets that I spoke about earlier. So we had high-speed running, and we had sprinting and XL/DCL targets that we had set today. In the past, you would have picked certain games, whether it's, let's say, 11v11, and you're going to play 11v11 3 times 10 minutes, and you will get a physical response and an adaptation from playing those games multiple times over multiple sessions, but you wouldn't have been as dialed in exactly what each individual got. So I'll know from your GPS unit that you got 300 meters high-speed running and 100 meters sprint distance. However, we might have projected or programmed that you should get 500 meters high-speed running and 150 meters sprint distance. And so then by the end of the session, we'll be able to add a little bit of a top-up that gives you exactly what we feel you need, so then we don't lose that session, and then we can move on to the next. So the prescription, it just enables you to be more dialed in.
So final question, just kind of rewinding a bit and kind of 10,000-foot picture. You've obviously been here in the city for many years now, and it seems like to me, as and just an outside fan, obviously the Dynamo did really well last year. The World Cup's coming to Houston. It feels like soccer energy is just really, really high. Just someone who's obviously involved with the team, do you notice that? Do you feel that? And where do you think soccer is in the city of Houston?
I think as a soccer landscape, there's so much passion that you see. Like on any weekend, we see it across the road here with the multiple pitches that we have. But if you go to any park anywhere in Houston on the weekend, it's thousands upon thousands of kids and adults playing a game purely because they have passion and enjoyment and love for the game. So I think what's happening now is the product on the field in terms of the league that the MLS has built to this point, and now we can bring players like Hector Herrera can come and play for Houston. I think that will it reinforces the good job that the league has done, and now there's another avenue perhaps for these people that love to play the game to actually come to an environment, come to a stadium. Again, with that, like when I talk about that team first mentality, they have that, almost that tribe mentality of we're all together now against the other cities, whatever cities they are that we play against. And because the product on the field is better, I think you can see and feel that it's just going to keep growing and growing and growing and getting better.
Awesome. Well, I'm really looking forward to the upcoming season and cheering on the Dynamo. Thanks for joining us. Learned a lot today.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, Alex, Alex, thanks so much for joining us on STEM City. You are the head of sports science for the Houston Dynamo. Tell me what that means.
So my role entails a variety of things, but essentially I just use bits of technology and interacting with players to try to get maximum fitness capacities as well as reduce injuries amongst the players, and overall just help them perform to their best.
Very cool. And so you played in college and then you played professionally. How did the transition from playing professionally to sports science come about?
Probably in the most unwanted way possible. I just wasn't good enough, to be honest. So I wanted to stay in football my whole life. Got to a point where I was sitting on the bench at a professional level and had to make a decision whether I wanted to stick with that or stay in a sport in a different way. And that led me to this.
Yeah, and a lot of young people may be in that position, right? High school, early college, where they love the sport, they're still playing it, but they realize, hey, the professional door may be closed or not there. Tell me about, like, you're obviously you look like you're very satisfied with your job, you're still part of the team, you're enjoying it. Can you talk to those people about, like, it's okay, there's still a lot to do around, you know, the sport that you may love, and there's so many roles that are there?
Yeah, definitely. There's that's what tends to happen with a lot of people. Like, my story isn't uncommon.
Yeah.
Even a lot of roles, even equipment managers or medical personnel. Most of the people here have some type of playing background, maybe not at collegiate or professional level, but to a point where they love the game and they want to stay in the game in some aspects. So there's plenty of roles out there. It's just finding your passion. For me, it was a bit easier to decide because I was always one of the more fitter players and physical players, so that helped me find that passion for that side of the sport, whereas someone else maybe has a bit more of a passion for medical and wants to stay in the sport. They tend to go that route. So yeah, there's plenty of different roles in outside of being the actual athlete themselves, but yeah, plenty of off-field work that goes on.
Yeah, and obviously a big part of that is the educational training you get to be able to, do what you do with the players. What did that look like for you? For example, was your degree in? How long did it last? And tell me some more things about that.
I did a 4-year undergraduate degree. I did that in the States here in America, which was a Bachelor of Exercise Science. And then I did my master's degree in Australia, which was a Master's of High Performance Sport.
So then after you got your education, can you tell me about a few milestones that may have led you to the Dynamo? For example, what was your first job after that? And was it college sports or professional sports, and some of the pathways that led you here?
Yeah, so after I obtained my master's degree, I did an unpaid internship at Purdue University.
Okay.
So I was working at the collegiate level. After there, I went and got a full-time role at a different university, at the University of Louisville. And then from there, that's when I stepped into the league and got a role with Orlando City first, and then I made it to here. So
yeah,
a bit of a kind of cookie-cutter stepping stone, I guess, through the collegiate system and then to the professional level.
Okay. And then, so what does an average day look for you? Like, for example, today, we're right before the season starts. What did today look like versus how would a game day look like for you?
Yeah, we have certainly on our side a lot more work on the training element. When it gets to games, it's very different.
Yeah.
So for us, we're in very, very early. We meet with the medical staff to look at and discuss any players that may be inhibited or may need some limitations with training. Then we relay that message to coaches, and then I normally set up for training if anyone's out of drills that needs some fitness work, then I work with them during the training session. If some people are injured and need some additional fitness work or specific rehabilitation work, I do that on the side of the field. Then when we come inside, there's a little break, guys get a snack, we also have a snack,
Yeah.
We need to refuel as well. And then we often have gym sessions, so then we go into the gym, work with the players in there, build on their strength, so that's also part of the role. And then again, more meetings at the end of the day and debrief with the coaching staff and other staff that need to be debriefed, and then that's a day.
And I imagine probably one of the cool things is nothing is like by the book. For example, a player may be dealing with one injury and another player you're working with may be dealing with 2 injuries that may be affecting each other. So it's always like troubleshooting that, I imagine. It's not, following step 1, 2, 3, but like individualizing these plans. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, spot on. There's so much, I guess, analysis done on different types of injury, even fitness stuff. Different injured sites require different, aspects and movement patterns, and there's a lot of breakdown breakdown and a lot of steps and science involved and physiology involved and all that sort of stuff that needs to be taken into account.
Yeah, one of the, I imagine like 30 years ago, the technology we have today didn't exist, and you've got something that is part of those newer technologies. So can you tell me about what that is and how you use it on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so this is a basic GPS. I say basic, but these have come a long way. The first GPS systems used to be this big box that would clip to like a belt, and players used to run with that.
Yeah.
These have come a long way, but they're now in these kind of sports bra looking garments.
Okay. Yeah.
And the GPS tracks all their distance, what speeds they're going at, different movement patterns side to side, basically everything that a regular GPS would do. And it kind of just slides in the back here like that, pretty simple, and then it just goes on as a garment.
Okay.
So with this, it's really quite handy and provides us a lot of information because there's also a heart rate strap built into it, so we can get their response from training and how hard they're working and what their fitness levels are like based on this, as well as how far they're moving, how fast, and all that sort of stuff. So we get a lot of numbers from this, and it has come a long way. They wear these every day. They wear them in games as well, so we can compare some of our training stuff to the game stuff, what they would do here and there, and that helps us plan out, plug in a lot of numbers throughout the week and what's appropriate for certain players and positions. But yeah, there's a lot of numbers to look at.
Yeah, that's cool. And so in addition to all the other cool stuff you're doing, you wrote a book as well about soccer and performance. Tell me about what kind of spurred you to write a book, and what's the book about, and who's, I guess, the target audience? And
so the book was, we actually got 42 different practitioners in the same position I'm in all over the world. So from different clubs, so Chelsea, Man United, AC Milan, and they both basically just wrote all the stuff I'm talking about here, but how they do it in their clubs. So a lot of clubs overseas have different competitions and travel that they take into account when they're doing their kind of measures and science and sports science protocols and stuff. So the book is just a compilation of all sorts of, subjects within that. So the strength and conditioning in the gym, the sports science, the nutrition, all that sort of stuff from all around the world.
What would you say to, say I'm in 12th grade, I want to do what you do, but the pathway of, getting that degree, starting with an internship, kind of going through other roles to get to where you get to may seem intimidating. What do you say to that person that's intimidated by that journey that you went on?
It can be. If I was reflecting back now, it seems intimidating. When I was in the same situation, I just tried to break down what my passions were, and it was the sport itself, and I was good with numbers, so I just started with that and went one step at a time.
Yeah, really cool. I think what you do is, the perfect marriage of science and numbers, and then something that we all think is cool, soccer and professional athletes. So thanks for talking with us. I'll be cheering on for the Dynamo, and I can't wait to see an amazing season.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
I'm always amazed at the access you get for these stories. They're so enlightening. We learn so much. And that device that he was showing us, that really helps coaches sometimes make decisions on who they're going to start and how often they're going to start.
Yeah, you need different characteristics, say, during the beginning of the game, mid-game, end-game, and based on the data they have, they use those characteristics to sub in certain players at certain points in the game. So it's
strategy, right?
Yeah, perfect marriage of, technology, STEM professionals, and athletes.
I love that. Okay, talk to us about what you're working on for next month.
So we did an episode with the Artemis astronauts a couple months ago. We revisited space. We're in Space City, there's many components to it. And so we talked with a company called ILC Dover that actually makes the spacesuit. So I talked to the engineers, they showed me the suit, they got
Did you jump in one?
I didn't jump in one, but they did have one of their team members do it. So I'm excited to show that next month.
That's really awesome. Okay, and of course, folks can catch that right here on KPRC 2 Plus now at 9. And you can also watch it again on our website, clicktohouston.com. Dr. Durrani, always a pleasure catching up with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.